This is going to be our first real attempt at a podcast. I'm Tyler.
I'm Chris.
I'm Jeremy.
And this is Things My Friends Say.
So I was on Instagram the other day and I came across a story about the zombie deer. You guys seen anything about that or?
No, I was hoping you explained it to me because I the only thing I've seen is that I saw like on Instagram as well. It was like zombie deer disease can spread to humans. Experts say, and that's about as much as I know.
I saw like something on YouTube, but other than that, I haven't seen anything.
It was literally a picture of an average deer, so I didn't know what to expect.
Who do you know that?
Yeah, sorry. It looked like an average deer on the outside, but I don't know what a zombie deer looks like, so I guess I'm already out of the loop.
Zombie space deer.
So, what is it?
So it's I started reading about it, and they were saying they were comparing it to the mad cow disease. There was a big outbreak in the 80s and recently in the early 2000s it came back, but saying it's in 24 states, and a lot of the deer already have been eaten, and they're not aware that the deer has been infected. So eating zombie deer.
I know that was the first thing I thought. Is that what you mean though? Is it like when you say most of the deer have been eaten, do you mean whatever is inside them has already like fucked them up, or are you saying that people have already eaten?
People have eaten the deer, so they didn't know the deer had the. This is what they're saying the disease is called, CWD, chronic wasting disease.
Okay, I actually lied. I read about it earlier, but only after he said it. He said it before you came over. Okay, what it is like. I'm gonna get some details wrong, but it said there was something that proteins in their brain folds. It makes their brain fold a certain way, or the folds in their brain, the proteins make holes in the brain, makes them less afraid of people. It's like, I don't think it makes them aggressive, but they aren't as afraid as deer who are not infected by this, and I'm assuming it eats away at their body to some extent, or it makes them less, I don't know, maybe just susceptible to like the damage that's already been done to their bodies. Like they're less like concerned with it because they don't feel it. Or
is it a parasite though?
I don't think it's a parasite. It sounds
so
like
it's just a development issue.
Yeah,
it may be a it's something about their own proteins or proteins that happen in their body. You can read it. I don't know.
But what you're saying about how you think it's like eating away their body, the video I did see, these two guys, they were videotaping the deer. I wasn't that far. I was probably like maybe 8 feet away from them, and they were just like getting closer, trying to see it. But from the deer, I could see lots of circles on the body, and it looked like they were. It looked like it was just deteriorating, but in circles. So there was just chunks of flesh missing, like it was like a fucking actual zombie. You know how they and like for the example, The Walking Dead, where the body's just decaying. It kind of it looked like that.
So like a cookie cutter, like someone took a cookie cutter and just fink fink.
That's how I want to go.
Deer
no,
cooks.
It's not. That's terrible. That sounds like some fucking.
I mean, like a deer that's not afraid of people. Like how close have you guys been to a deer? Like how
like from me to you.
Okay, because I was about to say the same. When I went to Lodi Lake that one day, and I was crouching down to trying to take pictures, and a deer came within like 2 feet of me.
It what?
You heard. It came. And I was taking pictures of the little deer, the fawn.
You didn't tell us there was more than one deer.
There was 5 deer.
Okay, that's
2
funny.
adults, 3 babies. And I was crouched down on the trail in the safety zone. But they started to walk my way.
There's no safety zone.
And as soon as one of the baby deer was within a couple feet of me, one of the bigger ones just like came up really close, within like a foot, and I was afraid to move. And while this was happening, or before I had come up, there was an older guy who had his big ass bird watching camera lens, and I kind of looked back over my shoulder to see if it was just me, and he was standing like 5 feet away from me, just smiling.
He's gonna let you get
nodding, and he was like really excited about it, and I was scared. I was like, I'm about to get like like the
Deer
you know the
murder.
deer like get up and they just like kind of come at
Fucking
you and
kick your
their
ass.
like front legs are coming down and beating the shit out of you.
I thought I was gonna let you get beat.
I thought I was
take
gonna get
pictures.
beat down. Yeah, I thought that's what was gonna happen.
So real quick, so this whole zombie deer thing, it said it was first identified in a deer in the 1960s in Colorado.
Okay, so
it's
it's
been
not
around
new.
for a
There's been
while.
zombie deer for some time then.
It seems like it.
Actually, on a kind of a tangent, I guess. Have you guys heard of Rosie the shark?
No.
Okay, so in Australia, there's this YouTube channel. I don't know what it's called, but these people go into abandoned places and kind of scope them out. Well, they went into this abandoned wildlife park, I guess is what you would call
It's
it.
called the Woods.
No. It was like an actual, like it was a wildlife facility at one point. What had happened is they had, kangaroos, koalas, all these animals, but they didn't have the licenses to have them.
Koalas have STDs.
Wait, you said it's in Australia?
Yeah.
And they didn't have the licenses to have these fucking animals that already live there?
No, they didn't, because they had them in cages, and they didn't have the license to have those animals in cages, like for people to come up and like interact with them. Not the kangaroos, obviously, because a kangaroo would fight you. But so they had to give them all to like safety animal groups, whatever you want to call them. Anyways, so these people go in and they're exploring, and they came into this room with a giant tank. And they're like
Like a
filming
gun
around,
tank?
and they're like,
Like
"What
a-
the?
like a
Like a
vehicle?
big rectangular tank, not like a
Fish tank?
a fish tank,
Okay.
glass walls." And they're filming, and they're like, "What the fuck is in here?" Turns out it's 3 meters. So I was at 15 feet, 9 feet. I can't do
I'll
math,
double
'cause
check.
no, a meter is 3 feet, so it's about 9 feet.
Meter stick is like 3 feet.
A great white shark was in there, and I guess the story goes that it was caught off the coast in a fishing net, and it was dead. But an artist was like, "Wow, that's a beautiful, like really well preserved shark." So he threw it into this giant ass tank full of formaldehyde, and they had it on display. Well, when the park went to shit, no one took it; they just left it there. So I guess after the video went viral and there's like 8 million views on it, people started going there, and they broke the top of the tank. So all of the formaldehyde has been like not the fluid leaking, but the gas has been leaking out.
Oh, nice.
Is it alive or like what?
It's dead. No, it's dead. But you're talking about the formaldehyde or the shark? So
Shark.
the shark's dead. No, the shark was dead. It was dead in a net, but it was an art piece, and I guess they came and someone wanted to buy it, but when they came and tried to lift it up, it buckled and it started to break. So they left it there, and now it's starting to decompose because now that the formaldehyde's been exposed to the air, it's starting to disintegrate. And the shark's fin is starting to rot. But they said the shark is rock hard at this point because it wasn't.
Yeah, it
a
is.
taxidermist didn't do anything to say it's rock hard. But I just thought about that. You talk about zombie deer. I was thinking about because when I first saw the video, I was like, "Oh fuck! They left a shark in here. They left a big ass shark in here, and they just abandoned it." But it was dead the whole time. But I guess now they're warning people like, don't go in there because if you walk into that room, that formaldehyde is gonna like burn your lungs. So, like it'll roast you.
Yeah. So I get back on the deer thing. So, I found out what you were talking about. It says the disease affects deer's brains and spinal cords through abnormal prion proteins and damage normal prion proteins. The cells collect and eventually burst, leaving behind microscopic empty spaces in the brain. You're gonna like how this sounds. Matter, and it gives it a spongy look. So like a good old clean sponge,
Thanks a lot.
Let's see here, and then it's the symptoms of it, which it says it takes more than a year to develop, is drastic weight loss, lack of coordination, listlessness, drooling, excessive thirst and urination, drooping ears, lack of fear of people, and aggression. So I guess
like,
they can be.
me when I'm sleepy.
So we'll fuck you up.
Yeah.
But it takes a year to develop. So even if it did get to people, it's not just going to turn you into a zombie right away.
It did say that it won't transfer to people.
Well, that it hasn't, but
it'll mutate.
It did say, that they wouldn't be surprised if in the next 20 years, if somebody ate the meat that was contaminated with it, if it didn't fuck you up too.
That reminds me of that creepypasta where I don't remember what happens, but people slowly. So, that's it. That's the end. I don't know what happens,
It reminds
and then
me
we
of the
move
one
on.
I don't remember.
But I don't know what the setting was to set the story, but people start like rotting away. They get sick with something that starts to like make them just like decompose. And
Are they
in the
actually
beginning, what?
So are they actually just dead?
No.
Oh, well.
And the only way in the beginning to stop it is to eat bugs. And then after a while, the bugs aren't enough, so they have to eat like birds, and then that's not enough, so they have to eat
People
like
already eat
dogs
birds.
and cats. No, alive. You have to eat it while it's alive. It can't be dead. And then that's not enough, so they have to keep eating larger and larger things to sustain life. Well, soon enough, all the animals are gone, and all that's left is people. So then they have to start eating each other to stay alive, because that's for some reason, eating a living thing is the only way to temporarily cure it.
Sounds like a parasite.
Yeah, probably, but I don't remember the whole or the pretext.
I think I'd rather just be dead than have to.
Oh, I would rather die. I don't want to decompose, and I don't want to eat something that's alive still.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary. It was a weird twist on zombies, I think is what it was. It was interesting, though.
Hyenas do that. Oh, no.
Who?
Wild dogs do that.
What?
They'll eat an animal while it's alive. For whatever reason, I don't understand why.
Why? Because
A lot of...
No.
I think a lot of wild animals eat other animals when they're still alive. There's only
I don't think they
it's like
kill
there's
them.
there's a select few animals that wait till something's
How does the
dead
tiger
first.
eat the antelope?
It fucking
Well,
knocks
no,
it
it
over the
fucking
head
shoots
first.
it. It shoots it, and then once it's dead, it eats it.
It's like, there's a waiting period.
Well, I'm not going to get into it. Never mind. I won't
Please
talk about
don't.
that on this. It's very graphic.
What was it? Now I'm curious.
What?
So they were chasing down this little,
I don't know about
this
that.
little baby antelope, and they ripped it in half, like from the leg.
Oh, hey, no, I saw the same thing, except it was a rabbit and it was wild dogs.
It's not nice.
No,
Damn,
it was really
I saw the same
bad.
thing except it was a guy and it was a phone book.
Damn, he ripped it in half.
Yeah.
I saw the same thing, except it was a guy and an apple. See how we devolved.
I saw the same thing and it was my family at Thanksgiving and it was a wishbone.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
No,
my family,
no.
and it was my dad.
No, what the fuck?
Leaving or something, and I was like, wow, this went from graphic to normal to
Sad.
depressing.
Jesus Christ.
Talk about scary stuff.
I always think about when I had to walk to your house in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
No, during school though. Like,
Yeah.
because Chelsea my sister did not want to go to school as a senior
Me neither.
early, because what's the point when you're a senior of going to school on time? Like, there's no point. You're basically done.
Yeah.
Because you're fucking.
And I was in my secret romance with my
very first girlfriend.
very first girlfriend, so I wanted to get to school extra early. And I remember,
Yeah. See, good old hands.
so we
Hot.
hot.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
But I remember I was always kind of scared because I had to walk past
Your
the
dad's
park
house.
on the way, and
I was going to come out and get you.
and I always felt like I heard shit, like, because there's the gate to the park, and then the park goes into the pit.
Wait, you
Yeah.
thought you heard noises?
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. I thought I was deaf all my life, so I probably thought I heard a lot of things.
No, I know. I was at that park before, too. That was by my house one late at night.
Were you at your house?
No, he's at the,
I was at the park at my house. So,
And
Back-
Chris
my
was
back-
on his way.
Yeah.
and I was on my way.
I was there with one of my old friends, and there were a lot of other people there, too. I don't know why. But we were sitting...
It's fun times.
Yeah.
Thing to do.
Go loiter at the park at night. That's what you do
I
when
thought
you're
this
young.
was the daytime. You was going to school.
No.
Was this?
What?
This was like a weekend.
What the fuck are you guys aren't even talking about the same
We're
thing?
talking about the
but we're
park.
talking about the same park. I'm talking about when I had to walk past the park when it was scary. He's talking about when he spent time at the park. I wasn't there, but I know what he's talking about.
No, yeah, there were cats in the trees.
What?
What the fuck?
I couldn't tell you, man. But if
That
you,
sounds like the beginning of a creepypasta.
Yeah, if you were to-
There were cats in the trees.
Number 15.
Number 15
The last thing you'd want in the trees of the park is cats.
are cats.
wow, you won't talk about that other guy, but you're gonna put that guy on
No,
blast.
no.
He has more subscribers than he does.
Sorry, chills.
No. I remember watching, was it The Strangers? I think it's The Strangers.
Yes, I remember you told me about this.
And
That's not something you watch.
I woke up.
That's
That's
an
what you
activity.
do. That's a lifestyle.
That's,
That's not.
yeah, you live that.
And I woke up to go to your house, and I remember I walked out my front door and looked over to the right to
I
like
remember this story.
the spare dark area on the side of the house, and I swear to God I saw someone standing there, and I just slowly backed into the house, and Casey, my brother, was awake at the time because we used to wake up and do our homework the day it was due. We'd wake up at
Dumbass.
6 a.m. And do it that morning so then we could turn it in that day, and he was like, "What are you doing?" And I backed all the way up to the couch. And I was like, nothing. And then I just went back out and I just walked the whole way. That
Wait,
was
so
creepy.
but you went back out?
I still went back out, yeah.
You had to get to my house to go to school.
I had to make it there somehow. I had to walk 12 miles in the rain and snow to get to Jeremy's house,
Uphill?
which was a mile away.
Uphill. Can't forget that part.
In Park West, in Lodi.
He didn't have any shoes.
Didn't have any shoes. My backpack was full of bricks.
Just had Tom's on.
No, not even Tom's. I just had crushed water bottles under my feet.
They're actually 2 liter of Diet Dr. Coke.
Diet Dr. Coke, huh?
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's a
that was
copyright
pretty
free
scary.
soda.
Yeah.
You have anything ever scared you before?
Something that scared me before?
Never anything ever in my life scared me.
Fearless.
Really?
No,
Fucking
I'm not
fearless.
fearless. I'm just dumb as fuck.
Yeah, you kicked the fucking you kicked the screen during BioShock one time.
Okay, fuck you. The first one was scary.
Hella good. Anyways, Jeremy.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yep,
besides when you
yes.
are we all thinking about the same thing?
I don't know.
No.
I was thinking about when you
don't-
abandoned us.
No, not that.
Oh,
That's-
okay.
Oh no, that wasn't even that scary.
No, I over exaggerated with that.
Yeah, that's one time Jeremy over exaggerated.
Yeah, yeah.
Left us to die.
And I went back to his room and it was Tyler's room and everything was okay.
That's like already like yeah. We died. We're dead.
So, where we live, there are supposed to be these 3 ghosts that live out in the vineyards by our town.
What the
Fuck?
fuck are you
I've
talking
never heard of
about?
Are you
that.
serious? You never heard about this?
What the hell?
So there, I don't know which one I saw. But
What the
I was,
fuck?
I was still scared out of my mind. So
When?
I'll tell you about all 3.
I guess just tell us.
This was
Yeah,
this
just
was
tell
like
us, may as well.
maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Okay, and you didn't tell us you had a brain then.
I'm sure I did. I don't know.
I don't think
So,
so. I think we
Jeremy's
were
there-
known about
so
this.
Dear zombie disease.
I got it already.
He's not afraid of ghosts coming near him, I guess.
I'm a
What are they doing here?
okay.
Come.
Oh. So there are 3 that are supposed to live out in the vineyards. There's supposed to be 2 Native
I
American
thought they were
girls.
ghosts.
They are.
So they're living?
Well, 2,
God damn it. Let him tell the
Sorry.
story.
there's supposed to be
sorry.
2 ghosts stationed. Stationed out in the
Camping.
vineyards.
They're just
They're
camping.
So there's supposed to be 2 Native American girls. One is supposed to be just on the side of the road standing there looking at you. There's supposed to be another one that you don't really see, but you hear her yelling. And then the third one,
That's worse.
it is. I would never want to hear something yelling. Let me just finish. So
I have a
there's
story to tell
the
you
third
then.
one. The third one is the scariest one. So the third one is called the Lady in White, and it looks
Oh,
like
Jesus
a
Christ.
Victorian style dress. a
I have
woman's
2
in.
stories to tell you now.
I'm not looking forward to them. And what she's supposed to do is she's supposed to stand on the side of the road, and when you drive past her, people will look in their rearview mirror to see her back there, and she's supposed to be in the back of your car.
I feel like
and
every
make you
town has
crash.
that story.
Well, I was super scared. That was the one I saw. So, okay, I was house sitting, and
That's where this is already wrong.
yep, I was house sitting in Stockton, which is
Stockton.
and I had to come back to Lodi to work, but I worked at 3 a.m. And I like this scary echo. So I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna take the highway. I'm not gonna take 5. I'm gonna take the back roads.
That's a mistake.
Yes, it was. I drove through the vineyards.
Did you get got? Oh, but wait.
Did I? So I was driving, and I get to I start pulling up to a 4-way intersection that's out there, and then I see like yeah, it's a good one too. I saw. It looked like I saw like a very faint white figure kind of cross the road. It seemed like it was, air quotations, humanoid. Like, that's nice.
Oh, great.
Gunshot.
Well, you hope it was a gunshot. Now we're hearing bumps and noises, and we're in this house, and it's all big and
Just
ugly.
run back over here. Maybe it was a raccoon. I don't know. It just exploded.
Yeah, there was a raccoon up at the fucking
It exploded.
top of fucking the second story, jumping off the bed.
Um,
I don't think that was in the house because the dogs were barking. Anyways, we're safe.
Where was I?
You're talking about the humanoid
Air
figure.
protections humanoid kind of went across the road. I had to go that way. I couldn't turn. I could turn right or left, but I wouldn't be able to get to where I'm going. So I went straight, and I didn't look in my mirrors until I got to work because I was afraid because I had thought about it. I was like, oh shit, it's the fucking lady in white.
I just imagine a pissed off ghost in your back seat. Like, why the fuck isn't he looking in the mirror? Like, that's my whole thing. And he's not looking in the mirror. She's like, hello,
Excuse
bitch.
me. And I got to work and I was okay. And then the next day I took the highway. So
it's funny you mention 2 of those ghosts, not even knowing about them. So way back, probably in the fall. Yeah. It's all good. What was it? Oh, after me and Tyler had gone to the gym, there was supposed to be shooting stars. So I thought, well, instead of driving all the way out to Valley Springs, where I'm afraid I'm going to get murdered or killed by a cougar, that I would instead drive out into the vineyards and see if I can see them out there and take pictures if that's the case. So this was probably around 12:30 in the middle of the night. So I went out there almost near the freeway, but I was right in the middle, right where it's pretty dark. It's away from the city or away from town. And I remember getting out of my car and I was out there just looking at the sky and I was like, this is really pretty. This is really nice. And then I heard a high-pitched scream.
Oh.
And I looked in the direction because it was like it came from around where town was, but it was almost because right before you get back into town, there's the canal that runs along the backside, and then it's that abandoned facility, and then the vineyards. And it sounded like it came from that direction. So I kind of looked over and I'm looking out, and I don't know if I saw headlights from somewhere, but there was something glowing out there. So I was like, that's probably, I was thinking coyote at the time, but I was like, that's probably my time to get out and go. So that's the one. The second one, you talk about the lady in white. It reminds me of Chelsea, my sister, and her story about when we first moved into our house and we lived near the vineyards, waking up in the middle of the night and seeing a woman in white waving at her from the stairs and then sitting on the end of her bed.
From the stairs?
What?
I didn't know there was shit happening from the fucking stairs.
Yeah, waving at her from the stairs.
Oh, yikes. That scares me
and
more
then
than the
she
bed
fell
part
asleep
because,
and woke up
yikes.
and she was sitting on her bed waving at her.
I feel like the stairs part fucks me up more than the bed part. I've known about the bed thing.
That's
because
that's I'm getting tingles just thinking about it. That's because that's distant. That's like a threat at the distance, and you're like, well, when it's up in your face, you're faced with it. It's over. But when it's at a distance, that's when you have that. Oh my god!
Fuck. Stop looking. Stop looking.
What's going on?
Tell the story. Don't look outside.
No, that's it. No, that's the whole story.
What do you got? I got that one ghost story. That's about it. I haven't really experienced anything else super paranormal?
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like I have that, and it's hard to tell between, because I mean, I was younger, between maybe me imagining things or me actually experiencing stuff. I remember back when Tyler and Jasmine were playing World of Warcraft, and Casey was, I would throw temper tantrums because I was like, why is my girlfriend not texting me? Instead, she's leveling up with my brother and my friend, and I am in here doing nothing. So I was playing with Legos in my room as a young teen, and
I remember this.
I pushed my Lego bin under my bed, and I swear that it came back out a little bit. And I mean, I'm about as dumb as that. I don't know who that ghost hunter is, but the one that's like, hey,
he's talking shit.
Yeah,
guy.
he's like, hey, ghost, it's your boy. Like, that's kind of how I am. And like, it came back out, and I just kind of pushed it right back under the bed after it came out again. Still don't know to this day if I was imagining things or not. But there was a period where I was going into every room in my house telling the ghosts that they suck and they're not real. And then I had to go back in there and apologize to all of them because my sisters were mad at me.
You're so dumb.
No, my sisters were like, don't. They said, don't you dare bring that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. You go and apologize to those ghosts. So I went in there and I apologized to all the ghosts.
There was a ghost in that movie, Interrogating Nights. I forgot about that.
Was there a ghost in that movie?
Yeah, when...
it wasn't a scary
Well, it
ghost.
wasn't a scary ghost, but still, John C. Reilly was getting yelled at inside the house.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He says that
I haven't
house.
seen that movie, honestly, since probably 2008.
When it came out. It came out actually a year before that.
Yeah, I can't tell you the last time I saw that movie. I just remember they made the animal noises at each other at the bar on the table.
And then they did it. They said, look away. It's all natural.
Is it though?
It is.
Yeah.
You're procreating. It's life.
But there was a
It's not life show.
there was a period in time, and this was, would you say after we graduated?
I don't know.
The
You haven't even told us what's happened
creepypasta,
yet.
the creepypasta phase, like the beginning
that
of
was,
it.
I think that started senior year. Like it started at the end of senior year and it went on to after we graduated.
Yeah, there was a time period, and I think that's when they weren't so much. Now you can go on YouTube and just look them up, and there's always some guy with a weird voice who will read them to you. But this was.
Oh, you just mean like the fad that was like creepypastas?
Yeah.
I feel like we were in high school.
Yeah, okay, that would make sense then. And Slender Man was big.
Oh,
And
he's
that's
big.
scary. He's huge. He's hung as fuck. But I mean, like I read a lot of the stories, and there was a point in time where I just couldn't even go into my own room. Like I was afraid to go into my own room and close the door because I was afraid that Slender Man, who was 12 foot tall, was going to be knocking on my window.
You don't have 12-foot ceilings.
Slenderman is
I'm just saying
pretty scary.
because there was
Through the fucking
there
roof.
was a YouTube series called Marble Hornets, and it was supposed to be a project that like the guy starts documenting Slender Man in the end, and it scared the living shit out of me. Like I had to stay downstairs with other people.
I remember seeing a clip from it, and it's kind of ridiculous thinking about it now, but
Fuck Slenderman, he's stupid.
yes, think of what are those things that musicians use to help make tempo?
Metronome?
A metronome. Think of a metronome going really fast, but it was Slenderman's head going really fast back and forth like that.
Because he's everywhere
I
and
mean,
anywhere,
he was
by the
like-
way.
He's a prick. I hate that. That's a terrible
At the
visual.
time I saw that, I was like, "Holy shit!" That was really scary.
Oh my God.
And but yeah, I mean, Slenderman was always scary, but the scariest one to me was the Rake, and I'm still
The
scared of
rake
the Rake.
is fucking terrifying. Okay, so
You guys are fucking...
Listen though.
Fuck you.
You ain't
Listen,
gonna, you
though.
are not gonna kick
Listen.
a Rake.
The Rake is a little naked son of a
my
bitch,
God,
and I
he's over
fucking
6
hate him
foot
so
tall.
much.
Okay,
It don't matter how
listen to
tall he
this.
is. He's on his hands and knees.
Listen to this.
He's gonna suck this dick is what the Rake's gonna do. Fuck him.
Don't disrespect him.
Listen to this though. There was when I first started going on little mini hikes.
What does that
I
mean?
went to a mini hike is like when you don't go far. I'm not going to Yosemite. I'm not going, far away. It's where you go somewhere close. So I went to Caswell State Park, which is in Manteca. Where is it? Manteca. I think it's in Manteca. And
Good
it was
45 minutes away.
yeah, it was like it was after a big storm, so I mean it was already kind of shitty. A lot of people said in the reviews that
Said you went to Antigua. It was
the
shitty, no matter
signage was
I used
kind
to
of
live there.
and
hey.
it sucked.
Story time.
My dad was a firefighter there.
The signage was
let it
kind of
burn
screwed
down.
up, so like you would get lost in the middle of the thing, and you'd have to find your way back using whatever signs you could find. So I went out there in the middle of the morning, and it's like no one was there. So I'm out there hiking, and I'm having a good time hiking around, taking pictures. And then there comes a point where I'm like, all right, it's time to kind of go back. But I didn't know which way I came from, so I start walking around, and then I'm in like a lot of brush and large trees. And I shit you not, every time a squirrel ran, I was like, the fucking rake is out here. The rake is out here, and I am done for. My life is over. They're gonna find me, and I'm gonna be dead because the rake is gonna kill me.
The rake doesn't eat you.
But it was a squirrel. No, he fucking rips you apart. He's got long talons, as Napoleon Dynamite would say.
But he's not hungry.
He's very strong, but he's not hungry. Imagine me when I run on all fours.
Well, he must eat something if he's not hungry.
He eats ass.
Nice.
Just for
Damn,
reference,
I must be the rake.
Chris is 6'4", quite buff.
You're not that tall, you fucking
6'3".
Okay.
Actually, when I went
Come
to
on.
my doctor's appointment, I'm sorry, I am 6'7". I am 6'7", 500 pounds.
Damn.
Yeah, it was scary as shit. That was scary.
Well, how
as
tall
shit.
are you really?
Well, it's 6'2.5".
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went in and they were like 6'2.5", and I said, "Man, my hair is just flat today. Sorry."
Bro, yeah, I'm 8.5, not 9 inches.
I'm like, let's talk about Mothman, shall we?
Well,
Since you want to
Hold
shit on the rake.
Hold on.
Hey,
Hold on. Speaking of hiking, so when I went backpacking in Idaho,
Is it scary?
to me it is. The people I was hiking with, I told them, go on ahead without me.
Oh, you made a mistake.
I
And
did.
then they died, and then you got off the hike, and you found out that you were by yourself the whole time.
That's a scary
Damn.
story right there.
They didn't even, sorry, it
But
doesn't make sense
it's
if they
okay.
died. They just weren't there.
Yeah, they were my imaginary friends. They were going,
At least they were friends.
yeah, and they. I said, go on without me. I'll catch up with you guys, and they were gone. I was out in a different state. Didn't know where I was.
Not from them, just from where you usually are.
Yes.
Okay.
And I was alone, and there was no other people there. It was kind of a like a quad and a dirt bike trail too, but we only saw people one other time. But every time I heard a noise, I pulled out my knife because I was like, I'm gonna die up here.
It's the last stand.
But it was like birds and squirrels.
Burgers and squirrels.
Burgers and squirrels.
Squirrels move so fucking fast though, and they kick up leaves. Like every
sound
move they
big.
make, yeah, it sounds
Makes it
big.
sound big.
And it
Well,
scares
everything
me.
sounds big when no noise is happening.
I know. Well, I mean, what do you look at? Stop fucking
No,
looking outside.
Well, I turned. There's lights. There's a vineyard in my backyard, and there are lights out there. And I saw
know.
the light go through the fence. I was like,
Yeah, I know. I saw there's lights out there, and I can see them, it's like I keep on looking up. I'm like, are those fucking eyes, bro?
Don't worry, I
Well,
There
at
are
least you
lights?
guys, if you guys saw something, it would be something outside
I
and
could
not
warn
something
you.
inside because I'm looking at the stairs.
Oh, I can see behind me in the reflection,
Yeah.
so I would know.
Oh, that's even worse. At least I'm seeing firsthand. You guys are seeing secondhand, so you can see
I'm
what's in
gonna.
the reflection
I
of the
will.
real.
Here's what I'm gonna do: is I will throw it. I'm not gonna talk about it because whatever's up there, I don't want to know my strategy. But there's strategy. Strategy.
It's gonna be dead twice.
It's gonna be dead twice.
lots of wine bottles. You can break them and have a glass floor, or just whack them with a wine bottle.
Stop giving out ideas.
Well, maybe those aren't my ideas. They were Tyler's ideas.
Yeah, sorry, I thought him.
Anyway, so let's shit on Mothman.
I don't want to shit on Mothman.
He's not even scary.
Is
Chris.
He's a big bird ass bitch. Like,
He's
let's
a
be
moth.
honest. Honestly, I looked it up. He's like 9 foot tall, but he's a big bird ass bitch, and I'm gonna shine my
real
light,
quick.
and he's gonna fucking fly at
Real-
it like
real
a
Okay,
dove.
Real quick.
Mothman isn't even like a bad guy though, is he?
He's a symbol of like terrible events to come.
Which
though.
is-
But
Kind of bad.
he tells you that they're coming. I don't think
Oh,
he
he
brings
tells you
them.
they what?
He
He walks up to you and he's like, "It's coming." So okay,
why?
where did the first? Well, actually, when did the Mothman thing in America, in the United States, happen?
I don't know when that happened. I just
Isn't it
remember
like
the
in Michigan or
Mothman
some shit?
prophecies.
I thought it was
movie.
a bridge that bridge was actually going to
Yeah.
collapse and a lot of people died. There's another thing that happened.
It's all like in the same area though.
Okay, yes, and the East Coast, I think, in the Carolinas.
It's like, no, I want to say it's Michigan or Wisconsin, some shit over there.
Oh, well, I'll look that up later. So another one I saw when I was, looking on YouTube for scary things.
Oh, maybe it's West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Because that's where the new Fallout took
Well,
place, and they
oh,
had
yeah.
Mothman in it, and they had like a Mothman convention over there in West Virginia, so maybe it's West Virginia.
Okay. So there
We can just look it up.
supposed to be, there was another sighting of Mothman, not recently, but in the 80s during the Chernobyl disaster. They said they...
What the fuck was that?
I made a face like, and
Oh.
then he made that noise. So I mean, I guess you can't see that over audio, but
But think of the Pikachu face, the meme.
fuck that meme.
It's a good meme. I like
Yeah,
it.
it's pretty alright.
So the other thing was they described it as a bird man, though. It still had the same features and everything of Mothman. It still had like the flat head and the the arms
Mothman has a flat head?
and the red eyes. Doesn't he have a flat head?
Yeah, he's got a flathead.
It's like
That's news to me. I thought he was a regular head.
He's a flathead bitch.
Wow.
he's got a flat top. It's a
He must be
hairdo.
in the military.
But yeah,
Support our troops.
but there were sightings of him a couple days before and stuff, and then the reactor blew up and a lot of people died.
All I'm gonna say is that the only disaster he's gonna get is this dig. Okay, my boys.
Dick's a disaster.
No, but I mean, come on, like really, of all, I mean, at least the rake is like creepy-ish, but like, you're telling me that
The only one that puts Mothman
seven-
up against the rake is you.
7 foot tall,
You said he was 9 feet tall. Now
whatever
you're
he
backtracking
is,
just to make
sorry,
him less scary.
7, 9, it doesn't matter. So you're telling me your tall ass moth is supposed to be scary? Come on
Take me out
now.
and fly away.
What's he gonna do? He's probably soft. I'd probably just fucking punch a hole through his exoskeleton.
You wouldn't even have to do that if you knew anything about moths or butterflies. You just touch their fucking wings and the scales fall off, then they can't fly.
I did that when I was a kid.
You're a dick.
Yeah, well, I didn't know what happened. Okay.
Well, you fucking
Well,
must
you
have.
had
after
to have
you
known.
touched
Yeah,
it
you
and they
touched
fucking
them.
fell off and they couldn't fly anymore.
I was like, oh, a butterfly. Ooh, oh.
Wow, so you're an asshole.
I learned through mistakes. Okay.
yeah, fucking.
happened?
That's your parents.
There were
did.
kids that used to.
What was that?
There were kids at recess who used to take like ladybugs and shit and throw them into the fucking ant pits, the ant hills.
One time at recess,
Experiments.
I saw. It was like in 2nd grade.
You saw a boob?
Not a. No, there was no boobs in the 2nd grade recess.
You
There were
sure?
teachers.
You got me there, but not a recess. No, there was a dragonfly ripping off another dragonfly's head, and we all know now what that means.
Hot.
They were fucking.
Hot.
I saw 2 dragonflies fucking along with my classmates, and we were like, "It's killing it. Why is it doing that?"
Didn't you see dragonflies and you didn't know they were like stacked on each
Fucking-
other, but they were fucking?
Yeah, probably. I just remember kids taking ladybugs and throwing in the ant pit, or either that or they were getting the bark from the playground and like
You're
skew-
fucking. You went to a school barbarians until you went to our school.
I went to the same school as you,
No,
but you
you
know what the
fucking
difference
said,
was?
like,
You know
what
what the
grade?
difference
What
was?
grade?
No, I'm talking
You
about
were
how.
on B-track?
Listen,
You fucking
listen.
bitch.
Track's where it's
I was
at.
on 8-track, which
Oh,
stands
for
for ass
asshole.
track, and yes, I love ass. I'm guilty of it. But
You were
the
on
point
C-track
being
for
is that
Coochie.
everyone I went to school with, they were all the 8-track kids were a bunch of goddamn Neanderthals, and they like to roast. They like to stab the ladybugs on skewers and
What
leave
the
them out in the
fuck?
sun and let them burn.
They
so
would have been out in the sun anyway.
I was part of
Fucking
the.
dumbasses.
I was part of the ladybug saving committee, and I would every time they
Fucking
almost
hippie.
caught one, I would slap their fucking hand, and it would fly away, and I'd be like, "Try me, try me."
You were still a big boy for an elementary school kid, so they weren't gonna.
I was a pretty big boy when I was on A track, ass track,
Damn, A for fucking steroids.
and then I went on to C track and joined all the
Cool
middle
kids.
class white kids.
All the
What the-
coochie kids.
I don't think it's cool to say coochie about elementary school anything.
Ooh,
Gross, Chris.
Nice.
What?
You said it. Back to anything relatively scary. One time we went camping, me and my family, and me and my grandpa went on a drive up the mountainside because where we go camping up, like, it's right on the border of Nevada and California. And there was a ranger station up on top of this hill. And I was like, oh, could we go up on a drive up there in the morning? And my grandpa said, yeah. So in the morning, we got up before the sun came up. Or at least it wasn't up yet for us. But we went up to the top of the hill in his truck, drove up there. Sun was coming up. It was pretty cool. It was nice, cool beans. Anyways, going back to the campsite, there was like a creek. And stopped to get a drink of water because the water was coming out of the mountain or whatever. Pretty clean. Yeah, it was fresh. It was very fresh. It was crisp.
What would you say it is, Chris?
I would say it's filled with bear piss.
I was going to say fresh to death. But,
fresh to death. Not fresh with bear piss.
Fresh with bear piss. You drink bear piss
fresh
water.
My grandpa loves to throw bear piss water in my cup.
He gave you bear balls.
Bear balls. One time he did. One time we went bear hunting. I went bear hunting with my grandpa. My dad killed the bear. Then my grandpa threw the bear dick at me. Anyways, back to my scary story.
Did you catch it?
No, I didn't fucking catch it.
That sounds like something that's like childhood trauma that you just randomly bring up. He threw the bear dick at me. Anyways, moving on.
Fucking, we're at the creek. My dad shows up because he was trying to deer hunt while we were up there.
Was there deer disease?
There was no deer disease.
Are you sure?
No, it wasn't the 60s yet. It wasn't the 60s yet.
Oh, the 50s.
Yeah, it was the 50s.
Back in
this
the
was
50s.
the 50s.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
They were just aliens in New Mexico.
You had just turned sperm years old.
Yeah, just fucking, yep, exactly.
Go on about your scary ranger station.
Anyways,
and the creek.
my dad comes up, we're talking with my dad, having a little chat and having a little sip. And then my mom in the truck comes peeling around the corner, kicking up a storm, and we're like, what the fuck?
I remember you talking about this before, a long time ago.
Yep. And then my mom runs and gets out of the truck, and she's got my sister and my newborn brother at the time with her, gets out of the truck. She's scared as all fuck. And everybody's like, what are you doing? What's happening? And she said there was some dude up on the hill, like, beckoning for her to come towards her, and she thought it was my dad, and she was like, no, he would have his quad if that was my dad. So she was like, what? And, like, he started to come towards her, and then she was like, oh, fuck, that's not him. And then she went to grab the kids, and as soon as he saw that she saw him, and it wasn't somebody she knew, he ran back up the hill. And then there was some story that my uncle told that was some guy escaped from prison or something, and it was supposed to be that guy, and he lived up there in the caves, and he died supposedly, and they found his body a few years later. But also at the same time, when this was all happening, there would be somebody going through our campsite at night, and they would hear it. And, like, it was like my whole dad's side of the family was up there. So they would be up. My one uncle waited in the truck with a gun, and then, but, like, somebody, like, walked through a creek or something, and there was, like, somebody splish-splashing, squish-squashing through the campsite, and they heard it, and there was somebody in our campsite, and it may have been that guy may have been trying to get us. We don't know what happened. But my mom was very scared to go back up there. I don't know if she ever did go back up there, but they thought it was haunted. I don't really think it was haunted. I'm not really that scared. It was kind of like just one of those stories that gets told to me secondhand, even though I was right there in the midst of it. It doesn't really affect me the same. My sister doesn't like it, though, because she loved it, and she's very afraid still, too. Macy.
Oh, because she was there.
Yeah, because when my mom threw her and Zane in the truck.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. I mean, most of that shit's scary anyways, because like Megan listens to that podcast about My Favorite Murder, and they talk all the time about, I mean, places where me and Jeremy have been hiking, where in the past there have been men out there that prey on women and, like, kill women or, you know, do all these terrible things. So I believe that there was some kind of creepy fucking guy up there. That doesn't strike me as surprising. It's just kind of, like, very scary that you can't go anywhere without some kind of creepy fucking people.
I don't remember what murderer it was, but my grandparents said when they were younger, first married, dating, some shit, they went up to some hills, some mountain, some campsite or something, and it was where some dude was fucking, like, some famous murderer was for killing people and shit, and they didn't fucking know until...
Was it Tamalpais?
I don't fucking
Was
know,
it in
dude.
LA or kind of near like Vacaville?
It was in the mountains somewhere, I'm assuming, or
okay.
down by the beach. I honestly don't know. I just know that they said that after the fact they were like, "Hey, that's where we were at."
Because I know Manson, he would hide in the hills around LA. Like there was a cave system that he had over there, and you can go to the cave. I mean, it's on private property, so you'll trespassing to get to the cave. But when you get there, there's tons of graffiti everywhere. There's lots of Manson stuff there. I saw a video of people going up there. Couldn't tell you though about the mountain one.
Well, that's what I was going to bring up is Mount Tam. And
yeah.
I know I had told both of you this
Today.
before, but it's the story of a guy who was, and I'm going to mess up some of the details, of course, because I've only heard the story once or twice. But it was a guy who was going up there, and people were disappearing left and right, and it was just random people at first, but then it ended up being like women, and they're all younger, of course. Well, this girl and her friend were hiking up there, and they camped up there, and she woke up in the middle of the night to like a loud fucking crash, and it was a truck had rolled through their campsite, and she was kind of in a daze and gets up, and this guy had stepped out of the truck and was like stabbing her best friend, and she's like terrified, and I guess all she could get out was like, "Can you stop?" And he just kind of looked up at her, and he was very well dressed, and that's not an important detail, but at the same time it's an important detail because after she told him to stop, he kind of just like smiled and got back in and took off like a literal psychopath. Well dressed, went from stabbing someone to like just being like, okay, and then he just got in and left. And then later on, they were able to pinpoint who he was because I don't know if it's still true, but when he went to prison at the time, he had to get a special prescription of glasses, and his glasses fell off when that happened, and they were able to pinpoint his prescription to when he was in prison after he had, and they found him that way. But I mean, that just goes back to none of those places were safe. There were people all over, and especially in the Bay Area. I mean, especially with I keep on saying especially. The Bay Area killers and the Bay Area rapists and all that stuff. It's like, oof.
Jonestown. Wow.
Scary time.
I don't remember the guy's name, his actual name. But the guy that founded Jonestown, was it in Bolivia? That he took all his followers? Do you have an idea?
I couldn't tell you.
You talking
I
about
know
the
some of the
documentary
details,
about
but
where he? Wait,
it
go
was
ahead.
real before it was a documentary.
Yeah, where they drank the Kool-Aid. That's
Yeah.
that thing that drank the Kool-Aid and like thousands of people died because they didn't know they were drinking poison.
No, there's fucking people that they knew they were
some
trying to
people
fucking
knew.
get away. They
Some
tried to
people knew.
leave.
Yeah, but a good majority of people just drank it. They had no idea.
I mean, there were still people who wanted to be there.
but yeah. But no, that cult started in the Bay Area.
Did it really? Okay. You said cult and you said drinking the Kool-Aid, and the first thing I thought of was the Netflix documentary, not that one though, where up in Oregon, immigrants, I think it was, from India had started up their own town, and they bought this huge ass plot of land that I don't know all the facts because I watched the documentary once, where the people said this is ungrowable, you can't do anything with it. They like terraformed the shit out of it, and it's like they were growing shit. They started up their own town. They had like their own city hall. They had all of this shit, and they were trying to get into different parts of local government because they wanted control of as much as they could, and they went as far as to like poison parts of the water supply. And in the end, it all obviously collapsed on them, but I think that's insane.
That's lovely.
Not a California thing, but I mean,
Well,
nonetheless,
it's a cult. Not cold.
impressive in a scary way.
Yeah.
Wait, they poisoned themselves on purpose?
No, they poisoned other people in power who were not part of their group, so they could get into power, or they
So they
thought
take
that
their
would help
position.
them get into power that way.
It's not a bad idea.
And their population was like growing, and it was so large that they could go and vote in places, and they had like a substantial impact if they worked together and said, well, we're going to vote for this person. we need this person to get into power. You go and you vote. Bam. Person's in power.
Wow. They fucking know.
But then it all fell apart. It all fell apart. Right, because I have to wake up hella early in the morning and go to my car in the dark, I'm gonna say that this is where we're gonna call this conversation. We're gonna draw that line in the sand. So thank you so much for listening. This has been Things My Friends Say. I'm Chris.
I'm Tyler.
I'm Jeremy.
And thanks for coming.
Thanks for what?